When she appeared, the air itself seemed to freeze. It was the kind of silence that spread like a shiver through 100 thin throats in the camp, a collective holding of breath. Eyes dropping to the ground as if avoiding the gaze of an omen. She was far too young, her hair tied neatly back, her eyes cold as stone, but it was her hands, and the whip she picked up every morning, that carried the true echo of fear. They called her many names in whispered corners: Theodora, Die Biased, the Beast. In Ravensbrück, they said it wasn't the barbed wire or the guard towers that made prisoners tremble. It was her footsteps. She was born on a cold morning, March 16, 1920, in a small Brandenburg village. Raised in a lower middle-class family, Dorothea knew discipline more than affection. Much of her childhood is lost in gaps, school cut short, early work, a yearning to belong, and for reasons no one can say with certainty, a willingness to bend to power the moment it was offered. As the war swelled and the regime called upon its youth, she answered. In 1939, at 19, she arrived at Ravensbrück, seeking only a job in the camp kitchen. But the camp swallowed her whole, turning an ordinary girl into a mirror that reflected the farthest edges of cruelty. The first day she walked through the gates, it rained, heavy drops falling in time with the tolling of a bell that seemed to announce a new life. She took everything in: the barracks, the yard, the thin lines of women, their hair shorn by order. The silence here was not peace but practice, a silence of fear. A silence of knowing how fragile life could be. "I'm not here to make friends," she told an older overseer, her voice steady, eyes fixed ahead. "I'm here to do my duty." Those words closed a door that would never open again. Her rise was not a straight climb, but a trail marked in equal parts by blood and fear. Within months, she was appointed Aufseherin, a female overseer. It gave her the right to punish, to command, to strip a person of breath in a single moment. Her cruelty soon stood out. She was seen on the roll call square, whip in hand, dog at her side, eyes scanning the lines as if searching for prey. When she smiled, it was never satisfaction, it was a silent command that made hearts seize. One afternoon, as the thin sunlight faded, a group of women were marched from the intake station. Among them, a frail Polish woman lagged, seized by convulsions. Dorothea saw it. Without a word, she swung the whip. The cracks rang like small thunderclaps. The woman collapsed, gasping. Dorothea stepped forward, the heel of her boot grinding into the woman's elbow, a deliberate act to show slowness would not be tolerated. "No one serves kindness here," she whispered to a nearby SS soldier. "The weak will fall, that is the law." They laughed, and she moved on. To paint Dorothea as nothing but a hollow machine of cruelty would be incomplete. There were moments she paused, staring at the overcast sky, or stood silently outside a cell lit by flickering candlelight. A prisoner recalled seeing her with her lover, SS officer Edmund Browning, walking hand in hand along the fence line, watching inmates like theater goers at an evening show. "We must see how things run to be at ease," she told him softly, as if sharing a secret. But cruelty was not merely impulse, it was strategy. She trained younger female guards, teaching them the art of ruling by fear, how to make eyes drop to the ground, how to choose the smallest target to crush, how to unleash the dogs so that no cry for help could linger. Some of these women would themselves become infamous names in the camp system. Dorothea rose to stellvertretende Oberoberin, deputy chief overseer, and became one of the camp's true centers of power. The real commander, they whispered, is not always the one with the largest insignia, but the one whose glance keeps the whole camp in line. Stories of her brutality spread like dark folklore. Some claimed she once killed a woman with an axe during forced labor. Others swore she shot a prisoner simply for meeting her gaze. Survivor testimonies varied, but all painted her as someone unafraid to display her violence openly. Yet the horror lay not just in individual acts, but in the system that allowed them. Ravensbrück was designed to control life and death. with women as the total property of the regime. Dorothea thrived in those gaps, wielding the power to decide the final days of thousands as if it were a natural right. By October 1944, as the war turned, the camp trembled with uncertainty. Rumors spread of guards fleeing, of transports to unknown fates. Dorothea still moved with her slow, deliberate stride. Witnesses remembered one chilling scene. She called forward a young blonde prisoner. "You will light a fire for me," she said. "Show me you have a soul left to lose." The girl's eyes flickered, then lowered. Dorothea returned to Browning's side, their hands entwined, as if nothing had happened. May 1945 shattered the world she knew. Amid the chaos of the death marches, Dorothea fled with other staff, hoping to disappear, but history has little mercy for those who believe they can outrun it. On May 3, 1945, she was captured in Hamburg by British forces. Her trial in Hamburg's Ravensbrück proceedings brought survivors to testify, each recounting the whip, the dogs, the shootings, the calculated humiliations. She sat straight, unmoved, even after attempting suicide upon hearing her verdict. The court found her guilty of war crimes and sentenced her to death. On May 2, 1947, at Hamelin Prison, Albert Pierpoint, Britain's chief executioner, carried out the sentence. Moments before, she whispered to him, "I hope you will not think we are all evil people." Whether it was a plea or an excuse, history does not say. The trapdoor fell, and the young woman who had once ruled Ravensbrück with a glance became only a shadow in its memory. But her story is more than hers alone. It is about the system that made her possible. Ravensbrück remains etched in the memories of its survivors as proof that women, too, could be architects of suffering, and that cruelty knows no gender. Dorothea Binz's legacy is not a relic of the past, it is a warning.
What do you think about this issue? Please leave your comments below. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button to support the channel and help it grow. Wishing you a wonderful life. Goodbye and see you next time.